And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, toggling to English for the rest of the works of our summit for today. And speaking of languages, we'll let you know that your translation devices consist of 3 channels. Channel 1, Arabic. Channel 2, English. Channel 3, Chinese. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure now to commence by the upcoming session. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, is titled 10 Years of the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park Driving the Vision of Leadership, which will highlight the achievements of the solar park over the past decade, especially in using the independent power producer IPP model. Now, please note that this session has simultaneous translation, so please use your headsets, and if you don't have one, you can collect it at the back of this hall. We have the pleasure of inviting to this stage Mr. Raad Saady, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Acwa Power, Mr. Mohamed Jameel Ramahi, the CEO of Masdar, Mr. Xiaolong, the member of the Party Committee and Vice President of Shanghai Electric, Mr. Vishal Rander, the partner, infrastructure and real estate, Deloitte. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the session is moderated by Katie Jensen. Let's give them a welcome.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. What an honor to share the stage with all of you. And assalamu alaikum to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We have got an incredible panel of experts. It's an honor to share the stage with you this morning as we look at the incredible highlights, the challenges, and the opportunities of 10 years of the Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park. Now, Mr. Mohamed, I'm going to start with you because, of course, this year marks a decade of the Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park. As we know, now the largest single-site solar park in the world. Now, you have been the man at Masdar, tasked with guiding Masdar through this incredible journey. So tell me, when we look at one of the biggest lessons that has been learned, is it that solar can now truly replace fossil fuels in the Gulf? Or is it the case instead that without adequate storage, the renewables will always remain a supplement here?
Well, thank you very much. And let me start by congratulations to DEWA, our main host, for an extraordinary event. I'm delighted to be here with you today. And of course, you know, as we celebrate this 10th year anniversary of Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park, it takes us to the main point, which is a vision that starts with the leadership. A leader that inspires all of us, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. And obviously this solar park represents his vision, represents our leadership vision here in the United Arab Emirates. Masdar will be also celebrating its 20th anniversary in 2026, which is next year. 2 decades of achievements that started with a 10 megawatt at Masdar City. Now we are approaching 52 gigawatts of renewable energy portfolio generation around 21 countries. And we are extremely delighted to also be part of Dubai's journey under the leadership of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, under the leadership of DEWA here in Dubai, partnering with DEWA in phase 3 of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, and phase 6, which takes us circa around 3 gigawatt of installed capacity with more than $3 billion worth of investments. So it's honestly, it's a great achievement. Phase 1 of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park is 10 megawatt. And look where we are today. We are part of the future, but we are also part of this great history that was created here in Dubai.
Okay, certainly an incredible vision and an incredible progress we've seen over the last decade. But let me press you for that, because we are seeing solar increasingly play a larger role in our energy mix today. But are we now at the stage, Mr. Mohamed, are we now at that stage yet where solar can provide round-the-clock power? Is it still very much a supplement these days?
It's a valid point, and it has always been the issue with renewable energy. You know, renewable energy, the fact of the matter that renewable energy is not considered a base load power generation profile, which has always been one of the key challenges of renewables. So when we started as a country, the energy mix was distributed between base load power generation, which is mainly driven by natural gas, and then nuclear came into the mix, and renewables. But renewables was designed to supplement the base load profile and reduce our dependence on the natural gas that creates that base load power. However, moving to today, in 2025, we always had this dream to, as Masdar, because we are a pure play renewable energy company, is to give our clients and our customers a profile similar to baseload, which is what you just called round-the-clock renewable energy power. And I'm happy to say that January of this year, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, our President of the United Arab Emirates, witnessed a major milestone in our industry, and it is one of the only projects with this scale that provides green electrons to its customer, the off-taker, 24/7. A 1 gigawatt base load project in Al Dhafra region that has a solar field of 5.2 gigawatt combined with an energy storage system of 19 gigawatt hour for 8 hours, providing our customer a base load profile that is reliable, that is sustainable, it's green and affordable. So it's not a dream anymore, it's a reality, and you will see this in Dubai, inshallah, in Saudi Arabia, and elsewhere around the world.
Certainly, it was an incredible way to start off the year, that big announcement in January this year. Mr. Raad, let me bring in you here, because when we look at the Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park, it's already powering hundreds of thousands of homes here in Dubai. So I think if Dubai has proven what is possible, Saudi Arabia, they have big, ambitious plans too. In fact, they are now chasing 15 gigawatts of renewables by 2030. That is one of the most ambitious in the world. So, Mr. Raad, let me ask you here, because from your position leading the transformation and the expansion at Acwa, where do you see the real breaking point today? Is it stabilizing the grid? Is it mobilizing the finance? Or is it being able to deliver at the speed that governments now demand?
Thank you very much, Katie. I just mentioned one thing. The Saudi dream is 130 gigawatts. Just 2 months ago, Acwa Power, we signed one wave, which was 15 gigawatts in July. But back to your question about the intermittency of renewable energy, I'm happy to say that in Mohammed bin Rashid City and with DEWA, we had the world's first 24-hour solar project. You're all welcome to visit our visitor center. It's 15 hours of storage. So it's a unique opportunity to see one site, solar site, with 3 different solar technologies effectively functioning like a base load. So we're very proud of that site. But overall, if you look at our investments in the UAE as Acwa Power, they're over $11 billion. Almost 10 billion of it, 9.6 billion, with our DEWA partners. But back to your question, I think it's very easy for executives like us to show up to panels like these and speak quantitatively about gigawatts and dollars and cents. But I think today's session is more about the qualitative aspects of what's happening in the UAE. The 10-year anniversary like my brother Mohamed talked about, the first project was a relatively small project. Some would call it a pilot as well. But if you go back a few months before that and you go to the rest of the world and say, where do you imagine one of the leading countries and leading cities of energy transition are going to be? Maybe the Middle East, maybe the GCC, and maybe Saudi Arabia and UAE would not have been your natural choice. We're so rich in natural resources. Why would we transition? But I think the word transition is the secret here. I think we have natural resources that are God-given, but so are solar and wind. And we are trying to manage all of these resources. But the qualitative aspect, and back to your IPP question, or the PPP model, what DEWA has done well is, of course, it's a very reputable, publicly listed company with a very high rating. It makes it a great partner to do business with, a great off-taker to do business with. And ultimately, the people that benefit are the citizens and residents of Dubai. Because of the high reputation of DEWA, they can get some of the lowest prices in the world and pass those prices to the public. And I think people that live in Dubai enjoy one of the best service, the highest reliability, but also the lowest prices. So I just wanted to talk about that qualitative aspect versus the quantitative aspect. So thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you in a few minutes about your work with Mr. Mohamed working on this plant together as well. But Mr. Jing, let me bring in you here because, of course, none of this huge scale that we've just talked about happens without the specific technology. Now, Shanghai Electric, as we know, built some of the most complex technology in the Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park. Tell me as well, when we look at, I guess, some of the press that sometimes China gets these days, how do we convince global partners that reliance on Chinese technology is very much an asset, particularly when we consider China's installed more than 250 gigawatts in just 6 months this year?
Okay, so I'm very happy to join these meetings. You know, as everybody knows, and China is in renewable energy area, the technology and the installation is developed very quickly. You know, up to as of now, the total installation of the renewable capacity has reached 2,180 gigawatt. And the wind power and the solar installation capacity is reached 1,680 gigawatts. You know, we already finished the announced target in 2020 is reached up to the 2030. The wind power and the solar installation reached to 1,200 gigawatts. You know, recently, Chinese government also announced up to the 2035, the wind power and solar power total installation will be reached 3,600 gigawatt. So it's actually it's to show the Chinese renewable energy technology is in leaders in worldwide. So Shanghai Electric is implementing the EPC project, an EPC contract in solar park project with Acwa companies. And up to now, then the project is in stable operations. You know, this project is world least project. We combined more than 30 companies in worldwide to talk the world least technology and to building this project. So, you know, in China, the renewable technology is developed very quickly for solar. In the first and we used poker technology, TOPCon technology, HJ technology, and now we use the HB technology. So the efficiency rate from in the beginning is about around 20%. Now it's reached 26%. Wow. So, and in the library testing rate is already to exceed the 30%. So I think in China, the renewable technology can be to the contributor to the worldwide in the renewable energy development. This is one point. The second point, you know, in the past 2 years, Chinese government already to issued a lot of policy to make the renewable provide the stable. You know, actually, then everybody knows the resource of the wind and the solar in China is located in the west, yes, northwest. Yeah. But the energy consumption location is in the east areas. Okay. So we are big challenges how to move the electricity from the northwest to the east. So the solution is 3 points. One, we use the high voltage grid to move the electricity to the northwest to the east. Second is to improve the local consumptions. And we have ideas. The wind resource and the solar resource, not just only to provide electricity. They also can to, you know, to produce the other, just like the green fuels, Acwa, such. So third one is we developed a lot of storage technology.
And I think that storage is key, isn't it? It's something we've all been talking a lot about so far. Mr. Vishal, I'd like to bring in you here because scale, ambition, that's all very impressive. But let's be blunt. It means nothing if the finance doesn't add up. Now, the world installed close to 380 gigawatts of solar in the first half of this year. Now, that's important because that's a jump of about 60% compared to the same time last year. So, Vishal, you advise a huge number of energy clients right across the region. Tell me, where do the financial models most often collapse? Is it about underestimating storage, overestimating the panel life, or is it about putting too much of a focus, betting too heavily on subsidies?
Thanks, Katie. I think it's the first tough question on the panel, so thanks for that for the advisor. Good morning, everybody, and pleasure to be here on this panel with the wonderful guests here. So Deloitte is actually the financial advisor to DEWA on the Phase 7 project, where we have the solar and battery, 2 gigawatt solar, 6 gigawatt hours of battery. And as Mr. Jin said, you know, where these technologies come together for the first time, I think we've heard of some other examples, that's where you could get some issues with the financial model. But a financial model isn't going to collapse for one factor. Yes, there could be issues with the technical assumptions, commercial assumptions. But the thing that's been done in the MBR Solar Park is that we've applied the IPP model, so the Independent Power Producer model, which is a long-term model. And this means that you have to carry out a large amount of due diligence before you enter into the contract. And this means that all the assumptions that are going into the model tend to be realistic or at least acceptable to the developers, to the lenders. So this is why the process towards going for an IPP is a little bit longer than going for a traditional project. But what you ultimately benefit from is something that's long-term partnership, that's going to be reliable, that's going to be stable for the developer, predictable cash flows. And DEWA's vision, matched with this kind of disciplined financial model, has resulted in an outcome that is both bankable and scalable.
Okay, so tell me, where are the big challenges there? Because that was a very politically correct answer, and you're not wrong. But tell me, where are the pain points on other projects potentially then?
So I think, again, on the technical side, I know that there have been some projects in the region in the early days that maybe we went too early into technology. That technology didn't turn out to be quite as reliable as we expected. So on the technical side, you can suffer some issues. And again, those may not have been done under IPP model, and they're not part of the MBR solar park. From a financial perspective, again, it depends on how you apply the model. So Saudi, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, all apply slightly different models. In Dubai, with the MBR solar park, DEWA is the off-taker as well as the partner, the long-term partner. So the challenges will happen and be ironed out through partnership. We have had some incidents in the UAE over the past couple of years, and these have been smoothly addressed because there's a partnership angle. And that also means that DEWA remains an attractive off-taker and partner. So, for example, when the Phase 7 is out, then we do expect there to be a large amount of interest because there's been a stable environment, there's a positive partnership. And so this can work through those financial model issues that you see.
Okay, well, let's talk about that word partnership, because something I find so fascinating about the solar park is the fact that Masdar and Acwa Power obviously had to work together on this project, sometimes as partners and sometimes as rivals. So, Mr. Mohamed, Mr. Raad, tell me, what is it like working under that model? Does it accelerate innovation? Does it slow things down? Tell us what really went on behind the scenes.
You are the older brother.
So let me start by talking about what Vishal just talked about, having DEWA as both the off-taker as well as the partner. I think that model works very well but it only works well if there is great governance. So, for example, is there a wall between the off-taker entity within DEWA and the JV partner within DEWA? The answer is yes. And that's what gives confidence to fellow investors. I'll speak for Masdar, if you'll allow me, I'll speak for myself. When we sit down in our board meetings for these project companies and we talk about the off-taker, we talk about the off-taker as a completely different entity than our partners at DEWA that are sitting with us discussing the project company issues. I think that is a level of maturity and evolution that I think the rest of the world envies. That model is very good. I think one of the secrets, back to your investment question, is how does your capital cycle? Because we're all in the region in the same part of our life in these projects. A lot of projects under development, a lot just recently finished construction. The coming period is going to be around divestment, recycling of capital. How does that come in? How do other partners feel? The projects have been de-risked quite a bit now that the construction phase is done. And now we're going to watch how the market responds to these de-risked projects and what are the investment vehicles that are going to take place to make that happen. Okay. Mr. Mohamed.
Yes, thank you, sir. Well, I think let's start with the IPP model. I think it's a very important aspect to put things into perspective. As a company that operates in more than 21 countries, we have seen so many models. I think the most effective and efficient model that has been in place mainly in our region, particularly the GCC, this IPP model, it accelerates the development cycle of our project. And I would like to give one example. Okay, if I want to develop a project anywhere in Europe, a size of phase 3, not phase 6. Phase 6 is 1.8 gigawatt. Just phase 6 here in Dubai, our project with DEWA. 1.8 gigawatt in Europe is impossible to develop it in one site. So let's take phase 3, which is 800 gigawatt. If I want to develop this in Europe, literally, it will take me the development cycle alone, not the construction, an average of 5 years. 5 years, correct? Versus an IPP model working with a partner and, of course, a utility like DEWA, like EWIC, like SPPC in Saudi Arabia and the off-taker in the kingdom and Oman. They provide the location, they provide the connection, they provide a transparent process. And yes, it is competitive indeed, but that's good for the customer. You know, it's good for the customer, it's good for the recipient of that product. And in the end of the day, it's attracting developer and it's giving the developer the ease of doing business. Okay, because the investor, the developers like us, Acwa, and so many others, we realize that this is a process. Process is fast. So I know exactly the probability. It depends on the competition. You know the probability. You know that what advantage you add, and you participate in this process. If you win, the whole development cycle from A to Z. Z is COD and commissioning. That's right. Is 2.5 years. That's right. 2.5 years. So the IPP model that is currently being implemented in our region here in Dubai works, and it is effective and it is efficient. Okay, and that's a very important point. Now to your points on competition. Competition is a very good thing. You know, competition creates strong entities. Competition creates efficiencies. Competition provides the best product to the customer. So it's a good thing. And partnership, on the other hand, is critical and important, because you will not be able to grow and you will not be able to do what needs to be done without partnership. Okay, partnership with like-minded companies. So while we compete sometimes with Acwa, we partner with Acwa in other projects somewhere else. And it's not about Acwa, it's about other partners like EDF, like ONGI, like others. And sometimes we compete, sometimes we work together. Depends on the jurisdiction, depends on the opportunity. And the final point about working together is that our sector, especially now more than ever, the demand of electrons, on average, within our region, 4 to 6% annually. Okay, I guarantee you, this growth is gonna continue to grow faster than it used to, driven by the fact that we, as a region, are attracting huge capital investment vis-a-vis artificial intelligence and gigafactories or hyperscalers. You know, and I'll give you one example. The base load profile project around the clock that I've highlighted, in fact, it was designed and will be built as it's under construction. It will be commissioned to satisfy what? To satisfy the 1 gigawatt super hyperscaler that was announced during President Trump's visit to the United Arab Emirates. So, and that will continue. You will see it in the kingdom, you will see it in Oman, you will see it, inshallah, in Kuwait and elsewhere. So the demand of electrons will go. What does that mean? It means that you need billions and billions, if not trillions, of dollars. And therefore, it is not only Masdar and Acwa. We need not 10, we need 2 Acwa and maybe 2 Masdar to make sure that we achieve these goals. That will be enough. Inshallah. We don't want a lot of competition, correct?
So where do you see that? Where do you see that investment coming from? Do we see that investment coming locally, regionally, internationally?
On the data center?
If you're talking about the amount of money that we're going to be needing to attract, where is that going to come from? A local front, international front?
Both.
Okay.
So we have local champions. Acwa is a regional and international champion. Masdar is a regional champion. But we also see a lot of international investors coming in from Europe. NG is very active in the region, EDF is active in the region, Total is active in the region. You have a lot of Chinese developers like Shanghai Electric, they are active in the region. And there are also private equity and infra funds that are excited to be within the region. And they are actually coming in much more than what we used to see the past 20 years. Okay. So, because the region is open, it's attracting capital. And more importantly, because capital is one aspect, which is us, the developers. You have the leverage side, which is the financiers. The IPP model and the way that our region is regulated and structured, it is the ability to bank these opportunities. That is very important. So you might have an opportunity, but you cannot bank it. So financing these opportunities will be difficult. The beauty of our region, it's not only attracting capital, it's also allowing lenders to provide facilities that is also commercially competitive, okay, which is growing and fueling this market. So we will continue to see this growth. I am very optimistic and very positive, and this region is big enough to attract much more than what you just see in front of you today.
And if you'll see the interest rate regime globally now move in a direction where you see interest rates possibly go lower, investors are wiser than we are, at least. They will look for investment opportunities that yield returns. Some of the projects that we talked about, like the projects here in Dubai and DEWA, you're looking at a 25-year offtake at a minimum. So you go to an investor and you say, look, you have a very bankable, very attractive 25-year engagement where you know you're going to be providing a green product, fair product, reliable product, someone you want to partner with for minimum 25 years. So I think the product itself, but also you're part of a global community. I think the interest rate moving in a certain direction will attract even further investments than maybe if Mr. Mohamed and I were sitting here 2 years ago.
Okay, well, obviously having the right partners is key, as we've just heard. Let's bring in one of your international partners. Mr. Jin, if I can ask you, we know performance really is the true test of any partnership. I've been in the region for 15 years. I think I, as well as everybody else in this region, know. Dubai has one of the hottest, most arid desert climates in the world, puts a lot of strain on energy technology with soaring summer temperatures, dust as well. Tell me, Mr. Jin, how have you had to adapt your CSP and PV technologies to ensure that they can really stand the test of time, not just for a few years, but for 2, 3, 4 decades to come?
Yes, just like the gentleman said, and the IPP model is very efficiency investor models. But I think every investor is to look, to look for the ROE of the project. Then the project is, if the project want to successful for the lifetimes, then the equipment technology is very, very important. So SEC is not only the equipment as the components supplies, and is also not only the EPC contractor. We are total lifetime solution providers. So, and we are invest a lot of monies and for the solars, CSPs, the technology. And except the energy equipment, SEC also have industry sectors. We also manufacture the valves, the pump, tank, for everything. So I think it's only one so big companies and linked a lot of industry and energy equipment in the worldwide. So how we can to make the lifetime of the solar park project phase 4 and phase 5 is stable and reliable operation in lifetimes. And we are so the lifetime solutions. First is, and we invest a lot of and to catch the technology of CSP. You know, in the very beginning, this project is combined more than 30 the companies technology together. And in the currently, and the lifetime of the company is very short. Maybe after 5 years, 3 years, and some companies disappears. So, and you know, SEC is during past 5 years, and we researched all of the technology about that project. So I can to confidently to announce this. So up to now, SEC can provide every solutions for the that projects. So this means, and we can provide the whole life service solutions. Second, the components of the PV. You know, in China, we have a lot of project is continue to operation more than 20 or 30 years. It's to the mixtures and the components, you know, made in China. It's qualitable. Yes. So please to I just to say, and the IPP models for that project and the invest of Acwa is our good partners. We will to provide lifetimes of project service for that. Thank you.
Mr. Raad, I can see you want to comment on that as well. Tell me.
No, but I just want to say that the last 10 years, there's a lot of capacity that's built to service a lot of current demand, because you had two things happening simultaneously. You were building capacity for the tremendous growth, for example, in Dubai, you're seeing in tourism, in almost every aspect of Dubai's economy, but at the same time, you were transitioning your energy. So a lot of the capacity being built was either to address demand growth or for transition. Examples in Saudi Arabia, you see a lot of decommissioning of old oil-fueled or oil-fired technologies. I think the next 10 years is going to be not just about feeding current demand or energy transition. A lot of it, and that is where the technology can contribute, is around taking that green technology and doing more with it, whether it's green hydrogen, whether it's greening mining, greening travel, eSAF, e-methanol. There are so many products that I think are downstream, but technology will help do it. If you look at, for example, the example of Acwa Power, we started by creating conventional projects. We transitioned into creating renewable projects. Our latest transition started in 2019, where we, in our board, approved green hydrogen. That takes effectively so many different technologies that we have and create one integrated product, which is green hydrogen. Next step is, what are we going to do in this region with green hydrogen? Some of it will be exported, of course, but some of it needs to be used here in the region, whether it's for agricultural use, aviation use, green industry, green mining, feeding into data centers. So I think today's session is, of course, about looking back, but like every DEWA event I've attended, only part is the past. Predominantly, DEWA looks at the future. And I think that hopefully with our presence today, we can talk a little bit about what does the next 10 years look like.
And I think being able to look at that diversification, I think, is going to be key. Vishal, let me bring in you here, because even with the proven technology, the economics still matter. And I think here in the Gulf, solar now delivers power about 2 cents cheaper than anywhere else in the world. So with that in mind, do we still need subsidies in order to keep investors engaged? Or do you now feel that solar in this region really has proven itself to be competitive on its own?
So just addressing the subsidy point, because in the Middle East region, we don't necessarily have subsidies. We have power purchase agreements, which are fixed price, fixed volume. And this gives the price certainty to the developers and the lenders so that they can lower the cost of capital, and then they can bid at these tariffs. And I know we want to look forward for the next 10 years, but also because I've lived in Dubai since 2011, and I remember phase 2 when it came out. And we have to look back and say, okay, in 2015, the 200 megawatts, the scale was unimaginable, right? Nobody had any credentials as an advisor that done 200 megawatts. And the 5.6 cents price was considered extremely competitive. And now we move forward, now we're at 1.6 or 1.7, phase 6. And so you can see, we're casually talking about gigawatts here, right? Before we were talking about megawatts. So yeah, it's hard to predict. I'm coming from a financial background, so we're not that creative anyway. But it's hard to predict where the price will go. Whether we will go below the 1.6. We were supported in the past by some macroeconomic factors. Interest rates were at a global low, around the COVID times, around 2020. But again, there's a huge amount of interest from the lenders and from the developers to keep pushing. And I think, as we move up in the scale, we will need to think about some slightly different financing because, yes, the commercial lenders will come, but we also need to not be super greedy for our projects because there's other infrastructure projects that need to happen in the region. So we can't just keep doing gigawatts and gigawatts of solar and taking all the commercial lenders out. So there will eventually be, I think, a switching point where we will start to more regularly see green bonds taking part or more regularly see hard mini-perm type financing structures where commercial lenders take the development risk, and then after that we'll switch into some other long-term instrument. Infrastructure funds were mentioned, but really kind of the bond market is the natural place that we're working towards it. But while we work there, we're still getting great tariffs, which benefit the UAE, benefit the region as well, and the projects are being a success in terms of attracting people. So yeah, I do see, hopefully prices will come down. Being a financial advisor on phase 7, I would like to see that. But also, I do think that everything has to remain sustainable so that we continue to have a positive story when we look back in another 10 years' time that everything has been going well, and some of us may be retiring or seeing the end of the PPA terms in some cases as well. So.
Okay, well, let's do exactly that. We've got a few minutes left. Mr. Raad, I'm going to start with you. Say we meet again here in 10 years' time when we look ahead to the future. In 2035, will solar be able to deliver this stable, round-the-clock energy? Will it still be a supplement to oil and gas and other energies? And what is the single most important breakthrough that needs to happen in the coming decade in order to make that a reality?
If you'd asked me 10 years ago in 2015, what will 2025 look like, I would have failed miserably in predicting what 2025 would have looked like. I think the ambitions and the executions that happen here in Dubai would have been a lot faster than my imagination would have allowed me to. So I'm afraid I would fail again today if I would tell you what in 2035 the world would look like. But I will make one personal statement, if you'll allow me. I'm an avid reader. I spend a lot of my time reading. The founder and chairman of Acwa Power is here, always accuses me of spending far too much time reading and not enough working. But I will say that hopefully by then there will be a book about DEWA. I think the story of DEWA is often told well here, but I think it's a global story. I hope that by 2035 there will be a book about the last 20 years, what DEWA did to do the energy transition of the world.
I like that. Mr. Mohamed, your thoughts in our closing question as we look ahead over the next decade?
The next decades will be smarter, more efficient. It will be definitely electrified future. And electrification, as we progress towards a more intelligent future, vis-a-vis AI, more robotics, and that means that the demand of electrons will continue to grow. And to ensure that we satisfy that demand, there will be definitely more innovation that is driven by combining what we call hybrid solutions. However, and this is a fact, that we also believe in an inclusion energy power future. What does that mean? It means that we will reduce our demand on natural gas, but natural gas and some other forms of fossil fuels will continue to be, on average, depending on the region, but globally on average between 40 to 50% of the energy mix wherever you go, including our region.
Okay.
Inshallah. Well said.
So you still see it forming a mix. Mr. Jin, what are your thoughts? Do we think by 2035 solar will be completely reliable around the clock? Will it still form part of the energy mix, as Mr. Mohamed suggested?
So for my personal opinions, and in the long term, and I think we said use wind, solar, storage, and hydrogens, and we make together to provide the stable electricity and the energy. This is one point. Second point is how we to use green power to make the gas and oil green.
Yeah.
These are another solutions. So I think for the long term, and I confidently and we can to use the renewable energy to make the water more clear, more green.
Thank you.
I'm quite sure. Thanks.
Shishi.
Mr. Vishal, final thoughts with you.
So I agree with the panel members. Mr. Jin mentioned a combination of the technologies going forward, and as Mr. Mohamed said, I can still see for gas playing a part as we expect. Going to Mr. Raad's point, I'm probably going to be completely incorrect as well in 10 years' time. I think the key is that if we see this progression keep continuing, and we keep innovating on the technical side, on the financial side, and we take the steps that's been taken in MBR Solar Park, which has been really scaling and kind of kick-started everything in the region, but worked in a sensible manner that we've got to this point now where we're talking about gigawatts, we're talking about doing battery, we have the CSP plant, everything running. So I think there will be a huge amount of progress. I don't think we can predict where we will be in 10 years' time, and hopefully we'll be relaxing somewhere else rather than on the seats up here.
Well, very wise, I have to say, I agree. I think certainly one of the most innovative ambitions, cities, countries, regions in the world. Gentlemen, what an honor to share the stage with you today. Please join with me in giving our speakers a very big round of applause. Thank you very much.